Good afternoon. This is Kelly Day with SEIU Healthcare 1199 Multi-Employer Training Fund, and we're working closely with our college partners to bring students the information they need during the coronavirus crisis. Today I'm talking with Jennifer Johnston and Marty Heilstedt at Highline College. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
We'll jump right in. The first question I have for you is, during this health crisis in our community, what resources can the college provide for students to be successful in their classes? And what virtual resources will be available to students?
I'm going to take this one, and I have a whole list, and I think Kelly's going to share all these links when we're done or somehow, right, Kelly?
We'll post them on our website.
Post them on your website. Great. And then I also want to show what I'm talking about. So I'm going to do a little bit of a screen share here. So I have 5 things that I want folks to be aware of or remember for seeking out help if you're a student at Highline. And the first thing is absolutely to sign up for text alerts, because text alerts mean you're going to get that note as we would if it were snowing in the middle of winter. But lately it's been campus is closed, you can't come on campus, but do your classes remotely and that kind of thing. So first of all, let's go to that website and just make sure that everybody sees what we're talking about. No, that's not the right one. Oops, sorry. Here we go. Sign up for text alerts, and it's HC text alerts. And just sign up now, and you'll have to say who your cell phone carrier is. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is, if you just go to the Highline College website, you will see this COVID-19 news and resources from around campus, and you'll find all sorts of help there. Here you can see on the banner it says Zoom virtual lobbies. And that's because almost all the services on campus are now available virtually, and most of that involves Zoom. Although there are other ways of getting in touch with people. You can make phone calls. Some folks even have a texting system set up. So depending on what it is. So from financial aid and workforce funding, even counseling has set up Zoom appointments. Advising, that kind of thing. So, and there's also a free and open class for getting people ready for remote learning. And remote learning means you would have been on campus, but now you're in Zoom instead. So the next thing I wanted to mention, there's no website for this, although it's probably in the COVID information, is Highline also has a limited number of laptops and hotspots that are available that students can rent if they need to. The next thing is, my really strong advice for students is to keep in touch with your teachers. And so how do we do that? Well, if I were talking to a student in person, I would say, find out what your instructor's office hours and go to them. Well, that's hard now because we can't go on campus. So how do we find our instructors when nobody's doing anything in person? I go to the directory, or you can look at your syllabus from your class. But in the directory, I just want to show you directory.highline.edu and look up faculty and staff. And my name is Jennifer Johnston. So I would look up Johnston, and I would click on my teacher's name, and then the teacher will have a list of their office hours, and it'll say, email me during this time and you'll get an immediate response, or I'll send you a Zoom link and we'll get together like this. Also, the last thing I want to show on the screen is the Highline College Tutoring Center. Really important resource that still exists during these times. And for example, I am having trouble in my psychology class. What should I do about that? Well, I come to tutoring.highline.edu, and then I click on find a tutor. And oops, wait, maybe that wasn't it. Oh yeah, tutoring schedules, and then it'll list the classes. I said psychology. Oh, I'm having trouble with psychology, so I'm going to click on psychology, and I find out that, look, Eric is a tutor who's available this morning at 11 or this afternoon at 2. And then, oh, I see some of these are closed. That probably means they're filled. Oh no, that's Friday. Anyway, so sign up for a tutor. That's the last thing that I wanted to say. And I will stop surfing the internet with you and go back to this.
Really good resources, and I love that you walked us through that. I think, you know, for some people just seeing it firsthand, it makes it all more simple to access. The next thing I wanted to ask you is, you know, for some of our students, there's the myth that online courses are easier. Many of our students have struggled with that reality. So what options will be available for students at Highline, and how will your staff be able to support students in this transition to virtual learning?
I'll take that one. Yeah, that is absolutely true. I've been in higher ed for a long time, and it's always surprises me when students come to me and say, well, I should have done better in this class because it's an online class and it's supposed to be easier. In reality, I don't think that's the case at all. What it takes is for the student to have really good time management skills, even more so than when you're going face-to-face and the class is meeting on a scheduled basis. With the COVID-19 response, one of the things that's happened is that new terms kind of come up called remote learning. So remote learning means somewhere other than the campus. Your faculty members probably at home in a setting much like me with a picture behind me that I took when I was on vacation. And the remote can take a couple of different forms. It can be the traditional 100% online class where you really have to manage your time and have the self-discipline to log on and do your coursework as you need to do it. Or it could be 100% synchronous, where the faculty member has a time set up and everybody meets in Zoom and the faculty member conducts the class in that way. It's like being in the classroom, but only everybody's on a computer looking at each other, much as we are right now. Or it's a combination. It's a hybrid version of that, where they do some of it synchronously and some of it online on their own time. All of those take a little different way of approaching the class and takes some getting used to. But I'd like to kind of go back to something Jennifer said in her response, and that is, let your teacher know. If you think you're in trouble, talk to your teacher. Take advantage of the resources that she mentioned, because the other thing I found in my experience is that when a student does come to me or come to someone in the administration about trouble they're having in the class, it's usually too late. And the worst thing I can say to them is, if you had come and said something to me or to your teacher when you first started having trouble, we wouldn't be here now and we could have helped you. We run out of time. So you have to be an advocate for yourself. If life gets in the way, whatever you're having struggles with, go to your faculty member and seek out that help that they're ready to provide for you. Because one thing that has become apparent as we've made this shift to a different world of teaching is that the teachers at Highline are amazing. They have done an incredible amount of work to get their classes online, and some of them have never taught in that modality before. So kind of bear with us as we're learning a little bit together in this as we go as well. So to let your teacher know what's working and what's not working so that they can address that issue as well. And maybe one of the last things I want to mention that we did was we established a 1-credit class for students who had never taken a course online before, to help them understand and get a feel for what that environment was like. We didn't know how many of those sections we were going to have to run in it, and I don't know where we ended up, but the last I heard we had 18 sections of that 1-credit class going. And if I remember right, that was free. Is that right, Jennifer?
Yeah, that's right. And there's still an open online class that they can go into. If they look at those COVID-19 resources, they can still find something that's going on that they can use anytime.
That's great. That's great. In our current healthcare situation, our members and students as healthcare workers are often on call, and they're being called into work for essential duties. What can students expect from the college's upcoming quarter in support of helping them balance these difficult realities?
Most instructors, and particularly instructors in the healthcare pathway, are very well aware of what students are facing, because some of the instructors are facing the same things, like they're balancing full-time work and full-time homeschooling, and sometimes there's another family member at home who needs care and that kind of thing. So instructors are aware in general of what students are facing, but I want to reinforce what Marty just said, which is they don't know what you as a student, as an individual, are experiencing unless you talk to them about it. So this new modality called remote learning means that during the times when the class would have been scheduled to be on campus, then you are expected to be in probably a Zoom classroom like this one. If you can't be there, they'll notice, because it's easy to keep track of who's in the Zoom room. So if you can't be there because you were called into work or because somebody in your family got sick or whatever, don't assume that anybody knows what's going on. Talk to your instructors. And like Marty said, talk to them the sooner, the better. And the other sort of like side note I just want to mention for students who are in classes right now is if you know right now, or you know in the next 10 days, oh my gosh, I cannot take all this. This is too much for me this quarter. The last day to withdraw without anything showing on your transcript is the 24th of April. So that's next Friday. I don't know what time you're watching this video, but that's always something to keep track of. Is it's better to get a W on your transcript, which means you withdraw, than a really bad grade point average. But in this case, there's usually a couple of weeks at the beginning of the quarter where if you withdraw then, no harm, no foul. Nobody will see it on your transcript. Nobody will ever know you were in the class. So keep those things in mind, the system, and work the system for yourself.
Which ties in very well with my next question. Given the recent college closures during winter quarter, what can students expect if they didn't perform well or had difficulty passing a course, or their GPA was greatly impacted because of the coronavirus?
We were pretty lucky in that the closures happened as our winter quarter wound down. So, and it was testing week, if I recall correctly. Classes were actually over, so we didn't have problems with the students' grades being affected, or having to switch the modality on the fly, which would have been really difficult to do. But even in these circumstances, we get back to the same thing of keeping everybody in the loop if you're finding challenges. Once we reach a certain point in the quarter, the student's performance in the class has to be reflected on their transcript. So being aware of the dates that Jennifer mentioned about withdrawal and so on is really important. Working with your faculty member if you do run into problems is extremely important, because faculty are very flexible when it comes to students needing additional time. Even in normal circumstances, my experience has always been that when life gets in the way or job demands get in the way, faculty they go out of their way to find workarounds for the student so that they can finish successfully. So my advice to students is, first and foremost, do your darndest to stay up with the class and stay current with your work. And when you do get in trouble, get to your instructor as quickly as you can and say, hey, I'm having problems, I don't understand, and let them know what's going on in your life. And for our students in particular, through the training fund, they're working in on the front lines of what's going on, and we certainly are more than aware of the unique circumstances they're finding themselves in, and we'll work with them so we can help them be successful.
That's great. And I know you can't fully answer this because things are changing on a daily basis for everyone, but what can members expect in the upcoming spring and summer quarters, and what strategy, tools, or resources can you recommend for them to be successful?
So we don't know anything beyond, what is it, Marty, May 10th right now?
May 4th.
May 4th.
We don't. We're wondering about spring, about summer and fall.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
Now.
So if you were going to ask me to put money on it, I would guess that Spring quarter is going to stay completely online. Though if people are in healthcare classes, such as respiratory care, nursing assisting, medical assisting, and nursing, they should check with their instructors because things might have changed. They might have some high simulation activities that they're doing and that kind of thing. So they need to check with their instructors. Most other students in other classes, psychology, math, biology, that kind of thing, a lot of those will probably still continue to be remote learning or online entirely. So that's what to expect. You know, we don't have all the details yet. Keep in touch, keep those Highline text alerts and keep looking at the Highline website. But just in terms of strategies for success, I just want to give that, you know, my main advice for students right now is to be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself and be patient with your instructors and go easy on yourself, right? This is an unusual situation that nobody on the planet has ever lived through before. So if you're experiencing some stress right now, you're not alone, and give yourself a break. Some people are so highly motivated and they want it all to do it all right now, but they also have the kids and they also have the work and they also have the everything else, the anxiety that people might be feeling. So back off a little bit. If you need to go part-time for a while and you were used to going full-time, think about part-time as a great thing, a great opportunity.
I'd like to follow up on that thought
Yeah.
about being patient. Be patient with your instructors too, because remember, a lot of them are at home with their kids.
Yes, exactly.
Not only are they teaching you, they're homeschooling their own kids. So that's been a wrinkle. My kids are growing and out of the house. So that one thing that struck me when I heard it in a meeting was how we have to have grace for those people who are, for our faculty who also are doing double duty as teachers. And another thing I would like to say too is that in the healthcare professions, as you're well aware, a lot of this is a moving target. A lot of the requirements around, Jennifer mentioned simulation. There's a lot of meetings going on in Olympia to try and find reasonable, I hate to use the word accommodation because that's got a different meaning, but a reasonable alternative to the normal requirements to complete a program of study and get licensed in whatever your specialization happens to be. Those are being reviewed and negotiations are underway to try to figure out ways that we can help people, particularly students who are near the end of their program of study, to get them completed successfully, because we also know they're needed in the workforce at this time.
Right.
And if I could just mention that Marty mentioned accommodations, and just to remember that students who have disabilities, a documented disability, should check in with Access Services and make sure that they're getting the accommodations that they should be getting. And then students who don't have a documented learning disability should, like we've mentioned several times here, keep in touch with their instructors, right? Because their instructors don't know what you need unless you tell them what you need. And in this online format, it's even harder for instructors to know because they might not be able to see your body language. They might not be able to see you're struggling if you're just on a Zoom like this, that kind of thing. So consider creating virtual study groups with your classmates and all that kind of stuff. So
that's good. My closing question was, who should students contact or where should they go if they have other questions? And I think you both answered that very well. Talk to your instructor, keep in contact, advocate for yourself, and also the website has many, many resources for students.
And also advisors, like we have professional advisors who have Zoom appointments all the time, and people can make an appointment with an advisor almost any time, so during the day.
That's fantastic. Okay, thank you so much for your time. We'll get this information out to our students, and I know things will be changing. We may be looking for written updates. We'll certainly refer people back to your website. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to the students.
Good luck, students.
Yes, take care.
Bye.